We have Michael Jans with us today, the host of Connected Insurance Podcast. Not sure if you guys had a chance to check it out. I know we've promoted a couple times, but Quote Wizard was a guest on this podcast a couple weeks ago. And then we also have just a great relationship with one of Michael's founding companies, Agency Revolution. We actually have a webinar with them next week, so make sure to tune in for that. Michael has published over 50 books and is the founder of numerous other companies, one including the Insurance Profit Systems, which is the largest agency marketing company in the industry. He has been creating and delivering organic growth and marketing strategies to insurance agents and carriers for 25 years, so has a ton of experience. He knows what he's talking about, and he specializes in guiding agencies to the next level of organic growth in the modern age of insurance. So I'm extremely excited to have Michael here. Obviously, he's a great resource for you guys, so definitely ask questions when they come up. He is here to talk with us today about the 5 levels of the modern insurance agency, the totally reliable path to maximum organic growth without confusion, without losing your integrity, and without spending a ton of money on marketing, advertising, or technology. So thank you so much for being here, Michael. I'm going to hand it over to you. We like to get started pretty much right on time. So with that, take it away.
All right. Bada bing, bada boom. Kelsey, as always, thanks so much. And I do encourage, if you've got questions, enter them into the chat box or the Q&A, however Kelsey wants you to do that, and I'll be happy to take your questions. As Kelsey mentioned, my topic today is the 5 levels of the modern insurance agency. I think there is an overwhelming sense that insurance as an industry is changing fairly rapidly. And so what I'd like to share with you is a path and a plan that helps give clarity and helps give confidence and helps provide a roadmap for faster growth, both through reliable lead generation, and then with your customers, maximum customer lifetime value. If you have to leave early for any reason, I do want to mention a couple of free resources that I have available to you. One is my free weekly newsletter. It comes out on Tuesday, and in it I share 1 marketing insight, 2 pertinent quotes to the modern insurance agency, and 3 free resources, hence 1, 2, 3. Comes out on Tuesday, so it's called 1, 2, 3 Tuesday. You can subscribe to it for free at www.123tuesday.com. I also have an advanced marketing course coming up around the corner. It is called Thought Leadership Marketing, the Modern Age of Insurance. And what I'm attempting to do with that course is address head on one of the biggest challenges that insurance agencies have today, which is standing up above the crowd with all of the noise that there is in the internet. It's to help you find a voice that people listen to and that the market resonates with, so that they're attracted to your agency and then ultimately also deliver to you maximum customer lifetime value. It starts in about a month, but I've got a waiting list available now. And for those of you who jump into the waiting list, I'm offering the opportunity to start the first 30 days, no charge, no obligation. So you got to jump into the waiting list. That's an easy URL. Write it down, www.thoughtleadershipsecrets.com. And the essence of it is that while there is so much noise in the marketplace and people are saying, save more with me or some kind of nonsense like that, there are ways to communicate to the market in such a way that they're attracted to you because of your authority and your expertise, and that you can market to them with integrity. So, as Kelsey mentioned, this is what I do. I guide agencies to the next level, and I've been doing that for 25 years. I can't guarantee that everybody will get results like Mike Matheson, who recently sold his agency, but I can guarantee that my insights are based on real world work with real agencies in the streets, marketing in the modern age. And so one of the things that's fascinated me is why is it that some agencies grow more quickly than other agencies do? Well, it comes down to different set of behaviors. That's it. It's really relatively simple. The most recent best practices report published by Reagan indicated that the average agency is growing an abysmal like 4.6%. And I would put that in my model, which I'll describe to you in just a bit, as a level 2 agency. But there are other agencies that are growing much more quickly than that. Why? The level 3 agency has a set of behaviors that allows it to grow 10 to 20%. A level 4 agency has a set of behaviors that allow it to grow 15 to 25%, and so on and so forth. And for those of you who are independent, you're probably interested not only in the benefits of growth, but also the benefits of a higher valuation. So this content has really been designed for those who want maximum growth. Like a lot of people, perhaps tried this, tried that, chased every shiny new thing, or getting tired of that. Perhaps worried about the onslaught of change. There certainly is change in the industry right now. New insurtechs every other day, billions of dollars being funded to disrupt our industry. New technologies in marketing media, so sometimes it's hard to know, what do I do? What's working? The millennial generation has different needs and different expectations than the boomers typically do. And frankly, the pace of change is quite rapid as well. So I have noticed that there is a class of agent who looks around and says, as an industry, we can do better than that. Those are the kind of agents that I love to work with. So in particular, my client base tends to be boomers who want to increase valuation, millennials and Gen Xers who are at this point more interested in increasing income, and ultimately agents who want to make an impact and want to do something big for themselves, for their family, for their team, for their community, make it a better world. So in other words, the core philosophy and principle that I work with clients is that ultimately they're entrepreneurs and have a responsibility, if they want to grow, to build organic growth systems, not just to do insurance, but really to do business and to do business well. And today that means understanding the psychology of the modern insurance consumer and having a path and plan that attracts them in such a way that they convert at a high rate, and then they deliver to you that holy grail of insurance marketing, where you get longest possible retention, multiple policies per customer, and the maximum number of referrals. So again, when we look at the big distinction between the average agency that's growing, maybe 5, maybe 10%, the thing that's interesting is they've got almost everything that they need and tend to be just inches away from hitting an inflection point. And so unless you're just a brand new startup, typically you're going to have your carriers and your customers and system staff, infrastructure, equipment. I mean, you've got an insurance agency. But again, there are those agencies like Mike's and others that are growing 25 to 40% every year. What's the difference? It seems to be that rather than not knowing what to do, rather than chasing every shiny new thing, the fast growth agencies simply have a path and plan that they can follow that makes sense based on the principles of the modern insurance age. So again, I'll do this part very quickly. I kind of sensed that perhaps this audience doesn't know me as well, maybe as some other audiences. My work's been featured in every major trade magazine in the industry. I've addressed the National Board of Directors of the PIA, the National Board of Directors of the Big I, of trained and consulted with associations from coast to coast, have trained, spoken, or consulted with major insurance carriers in the United States and Canada. I've delivered my State of the Industry address to the user groups of the major agency management systems. My work has been downloaded over 350,000 times. And I'm the co-author of the InsurTech book, as Kelsey had mentioned, I've not only delivered marketing strategy and tools, but I also founded an InsurTech. I did this over a decade ago, called Agency Revolution. So I've got experience in the world of technology as well as the world of insurance marketing, and I see where they come together. Some folks have said nice things about me over the years, and you may or may not know me as the host of the Connected Insurance podcast. We're right now at the tipping point, about to hit 250,000 downloads. In that podcast, I've interviewed over 200 leaders, thought leaders, the movers and shakers of the insurance industry, and essentially ask them 3 questions. What are the trends and forces that are shaping and reshaping this industry? So what? What does that mean to the agency of today? And what should they do about it? And from those discussions and from my own research and my own work with actual clients, I've identified 3 breakthrough secrets that I share with my clients. And the first one has to do with psychology of the modern insurance consumer, so that you understand who they are and what's in their heart and what's in their mind, and that you're able to create a message that resonates with them in such a way that they're attracted to you like a magnet. And then to have a path and plan for the marketplace, for the customer, so that they become closer, more intimate to you, and you become closer and more intimate to them. And ultimately, they deliver to you maximum customer lifetime value. And that generally gets down to simply having a clear understanding of what's working in the modern age of insurance, and understanding what it takes to get from whatever level you are at right now to the next level. So in a few minutes, I'm going to share a definition of each of the 5 levels. And as I do that, you may want to ask yourself, where does it seem like your agency fits in? So again, the content that I'm going to share with you works whether you're rural, like Rex, or urban, like Mike. And it is largely based on where we are as an industry right now. If we go back to the very early days of this industry, and some of you may be able to, it may even feel like that right now for smaller agencies, where the carrier has all the locus of power. And essentially they hire an agent to distribute insurance. What happened after World War II and our economy exploded and industry matured, some of the principles that were used to manage the growth of, let's say, the Fortune 500, they filtered down to small and medium businesses in all industries. And what we saw happen in our industry was, rather than having solo agents, we really grew agencies, and they became more mature. They cared about regulation, they cared about licensing, they cared about education. We got computers, we got management systems, and we're able to really run like businesses. But then things changed again with the age of the internet. And we're kind of at the point here where, yes, it's a good 20 years old. But now it's not unusual. It's not the shiny new thing. It's the sort of the standard platform in which people do business. So let's take a look at these 3 secrets, and then again, happy to take any questions that you've got. The first one really is understanding the psychology of the modern insurance consumer. So deeply that you're really able to attract the best possible customers like a magnet. So understanding this is sort of the first step to really cracking the code on lead generation, and doing it in such a manner that you attract the best possible leads, because not everybody is necessarily well suited for the agency system. So one of the ways that we understand what's in the heart and the mind of the consumer is by reverse engineering and taking a look at their behavior, and because their behavior reveals what motivates them. So one thing that we can see is that they are connected. I mean, again, the internet's not a brand new baby anymore. We're communicating right now because we're both on the internet. So we can see that, we can see that typically 81% of consumers research online before shopping. They spend a lot of time on their smartphone. Almost 99% check their email every single day, and almost 40% check their email between 10 and infinite times throughout the day. And again, this is wild, but almost 90% trust online reviews as much as they trust the recommendations of their friends and family. 65% read between 4 and 52 reviews before they make a decision. Yes, they're on social media, no surprise. Yes, it's boomers, not just millennials, no surprise. And yes, the amount of time spent on the internet in general is remarkable. Now, in order to understand what motivates them, let's begin to take a look at what they actually do when they're online. Well, they see what others say about you. They get online quotes. We can circle back on that. If you've got questions, again, I would love to hear them. They ask their community, hey, does anybody know an agent, or does anybody know this guy? They do research on you. Okay, so typically before they're going to do business, they will check you out. And if you're a savvy marketer and a savvy insurepreneur, you've said something about yourself. You've delivered something to the marketplace that makes them pay attention. And so if you got content, they're going to read your content. But let's figure out who are these people? When I talk about the modern insurance consumer, what am I talking about? Well, Bain did research on them, as have virtually every research and advisory company that serves this industry. And here's what they discovered. There is no one modern insurance consumer, but there are two major groups of modern insurance consumers, and you've run into both, I'm sure. Number one, there's the price shopper. And number two, there's the peace of mind shopper. And what's compelling is that they approach this industry, they reach this industry because they have a different compelling value, a personal value. Not mine to judge whether they have the right value or the wrong value. It's the value that they feel best fits their life. So what happens when you attract the price shopper? Well, what's motivating them? They want the cheapest price. They're probably getting insurance because they know they need to, they're required to by a mortgage company or by law, or they just absolutely have to. But what you get in return is unfortunately very high churn. I'll show you the math in a moment. They buy less insurance and they deliver low margins to your agency. So ultimately what we would call income is they don't make great contributions to income. In fact, it's not unlikely that in terms of if you did a profitability analysis on your book of business, they may actually absorb a portion of your profitability. So a lot of them are just bad clients. But then the peace of mind shopper, what do they want? Well, they actually care about what the product delivers. So when they go online searching for insurance, they're not just thinking that if price, they're also thinking, I know I need the protection. If I have a claim, I want to be properly protected. I want the advice. I want the advocacy. I want the authority. And what do they deliver to you in return? High retention. They buy more insurance. I'll show you the math in a moment. They refer more people. I'll show you the math on that. And the magic, they deliver very high customer lifetime value. So the price shopper is quietly in their own heart and mind thinking, what do I have to give in order to have an insurance product? And the peace of mind shopper is saying, what am I going to get? And who can I trust to get that for me? However, it's not that easy. This is the work of a professional, which of course, if you're here, that's what you are, because the trust barrier is higher. And we've seen this with the events of the last 20 years. So not only was the internet delivered broadly 20-ish years ago, but we've also seen a lot of stressors on our society in the last 20 years. 9/11, the Great Recession, the student loan crisis, the longest war in US history, environmental threats, the pandemic, social and political unrest. So there is, for the peace of mind shopper, they're asking a very serious question: where will I be safe, and who can I trust to help get me there? So, hang on. And so, how do we deliver that? Well, like, very quick overview is that we can't just sell a policy and then show up in their life, 11 months later and say, hey, it's time for renewal. And by the way, let me talk to you about selling you more policies. Today's consumer, particularly the one who is coming to you because they're looking for a relationship that they can trust, if they feel that that relationship happens once or twice a year, that's not going to deliver on that. EY, the global advisory company, determined that the average insurance consumer does not recall having positive outbound interaction with their provider in the last 18 months. So we want to be able to build a customer journey that really proves you are trustworthy, because if their connection to the agency is, oh, you're the person that provided the cheapest price, well, then what are they going to look for next year? The person that can provide the cheapest price. If their connection with you, however, is with a really positive experience where they feel that there's value and maybe some human delight, a human connection, then that's really very strong. But if we get to the point where they really feel like and perceive that they're in what we would call a perceived sense of relationship, that's where we get the customers who feel like they don't need to pay attention to the ads. They don't need to go poking around and shopping for more insurance. They have what they want, the place that they feel that they're safe and that they're being well taken care of. I do say that the money is in the relationship, really in the depth of the relationship. And so, secret number 2 shows you how much, because it reveals a strategy that earns maximum customer lifetime value. Because we recognize that if we have relationship, any kind of human relationship, it's not, hi, let me sell you something, talk to you next year. We need a way to attract people into what I would call a marketing funnel, and then attract the right people. So we have the highest possible conversion rate, because they don't just want insurance, they want you. And we optimize those relationships so they're as rich and deep as possible. And we have as many policies with them as possible. And then we retain them as long as we possibly can. And I'm going to show you in a minute, if you're able to achieve that level of loyalty, exactly what you'll get in financial terms. So a few years ago, Bain and Company examined the relationship between loyalty and customer lifetime value. And the results were absolutely stunning. Here's how they measure loyalty. Net Promoter Score, which is a test you're probably familiar with. You've probably taken it for other companies. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend or a colleague? And so if it's a 0 through a 6, that's low loyalty. They're called detractors. They take away. If they're a 7 or an 8, that's mid loyalty. They're neutral. And if they're a 9 or a 10, that's high loyalty. And I'll show you exactly what they're worth. So as I do this, ask yourself, where does it look like your book of business fits? Low loyalty, mid loyalty, high loyalty. And how badly do you want high loyalty? How much would high loyalty be worth to you? Because I'm about to show you. If you got low loyalty relationships, they retain at 74%. They buy 80% of their insurance from one provider, not bad. And instead of delivering referrals, they deliver criticisms, 1 for every 2 clients, and half of those go on social media. Now, those are the 0 through 6s. Let's take a look at the 7s and an 8s. Oh, Well, now the retention is not 74%, it's 88%. That's a huge jump. And they buy 83% of their insurance from one provider. And rather than delivering complaints, they deliver referrals. So they, for every one medium loyalty client, they deliver 1.2 friends or colleagues as a referral. Really fairly significant. But what happens when we get to the tippy top? And they're a 9 or a 10, and you've got a customer base that is really deeply loyal to you. Well, they retain at 97%. That's pretty good. Okay. That means they're going to be with you more than 25 years. They purchase almost 90% of their insurance from one provider, and get this, it's 25% more than the other clients do. So they buy a lot of insurance. They're almost 600% more likely to buy another policy from you this year by their own declaration than the other clients do. And they don't just send you 1.2 referrals per person. They send you 2.5 referrals per person. So according to Bain's analysis, what do they deliver to you? 7% more lifetime value, worth paying attention to? No. 70% more lifetime value, definitely worth paying attention to, but no, 700% more customer lifetime value. How? By earning their loyalty. So how do we do that? By following a reliable path and plan for the best and fastest results. So again, I'll stress that we're in the age of the modern agency. Which means that we need to have relationships with the modern insurance consumer. So now we have some sense of what they want. We also have some sense of who's not well suited for the agency channel and who is well suited for the agency channel. So let me walk you through some distinctions between levels 1 through levels 5. Level 1. I call this the commodity broker because they've kind of fallen into the trap. While some consumers think all insurance is the same, it is then the only distinguishing feature is price. That would be called a commodity. And so when somebody calls and says, hey, I want a free quote, they go scrambling looking for the cheapest possible price. So they tend to have some sense that there is trouble coming for them. They tend to be working desperately hard and eking out an agency with the lowest possible customer lifetime value. But we get to the level 2 agency, and this is really truly a professional agency. And I would say is sort of the pinnacle agency of, let's say, 1995. They run more like a business. And so they have systems, they have job descriptions and an understanding of what staff does. And they've got internal operations that run fairly smoothly inside. A lot of agents who are, let's say, the principals of level 2 agencies tend to feel like, yeah, we're running a good business, but I'm worried we're falling behind. And in fact, they are, because the modern insurance consumer has expectations and demands that they're not quite meeting. The level 3 agency now is beginning to meet those demands. In other words, to be there for me. I'm here for a relationship. So prove that you got a relationship. So the level 3 agency is investing in the future. I call them the strategic agency because they've at some level adopted the strategy that we're going to invest in our customer relationships so that we can earn from them their loyalty and then also extract maximum customer lifetime value. So they're reaching out to them, usually using some fairly basic technologies and delivering some value and some perhaps delight. The level 4 agency is like that, but at a highly professional level. Here's what I mean by that. I call them the aligned agency because all activities, all the people, all of the technologies, the people, the processes, the technologies are aligned around one common strategy. generating maximum customer lifetime value. And also at this level, they've typically really cracked the code on lead generation so that they know that their marketing funnel is always full and the future looks good. So they really own the future. So here's what they've done. They've taken two professions, insurance and marketing, at the highest possible level and merged them into one. The rare level 5 agency is a marketing master like the level 4, but they've created such a unique and proprietary experience for their customers that they have a monogamous monopoly. So they kind of own a niche, or they own a community, they own the customer base that they really want. And the customers realize they don't need to go anywhere because they're getting something that's really terribly unique. So let me dive a little deeper and show you some of the distinctions and behaviors between each of these 5 levels. The level 1 agency, the commodity broker, here's the problem. They're really price driven. Look, let's be honest with each other. Go to AM Best, do the analysis yourself. I've done it. Every major analyst in the industry has done it. The direct channel is cheaper than the agency channel. We're not there to be the cheapest. We have other strengths, other assets, other values. So why compete just on price? Particularly in personal lines. In the long run, you're just going to end up, you might get some customers, and the majority of them will be high churn, very low customer lifetime value customers who are very expensive to serve. So they don't have much value at the retail level. If we think that the only function of the agency is to be a pass-through for the carrier, that's pretty good thinking for 1995, but no longer possible now. Other agencies are cracking the code on how to run a business and an insurepreneur's business that delivers value at the retail level, and is somewhat innovative and is touching people in a way that matters to them. So slow growth, high churn. They typically just don't have business strategies, don't have relationship strategies, don't have marketing strategies. And the owners are really always working too hard. Well, that gets us to the level 2 agency. Really good professional agency. They've got their systems in place, well organized. Yes, they've got a website. They might do some social posting. They've got a good staff. So somebody calls and they need a policy change, we're going to take care of you right now. It's not even a question mark. That's a good level 2 agency. Might have producers, maybe the owner's a producer, but they're growing industry average, 5 or 10 points per year. And the agency principals tend to feel like, I'm worried we're not quite keeping up, which gets to the level 3 agency. This is an agency that realized that the modern insurance consumer is different, and that the client who's best suited to deliver the best return to the agency system, they want more than to be sold a policy and to move on. I remember a few years ago, my friend Sam Friedman at Deloitte published a report and said that in small commercial, 60% of small commercial insurance buyers don't think agencies deliver any value besides selling them a policy. Find a policy and sell it, no value at all. And so they're heavily weighted to moving online, and because if they're thinking, if that's all you can do, why should I be there? So the level 3 agency, they do tend to grow really a pretty nice clip, 10 to 15% a year. They reach out proactively with some value. And so the numbers that matter go up, retention up, referrals up, policy per customer up. And so they get high margins from the customers that they've got. Often have a defined target market. They really know how to think marketing. The principals have invested progressively more time and resource into business building, not just doing insurance. And the team likes it. They've woken up. Here's why. Because we're delivering value and delight to the customer base. Boom, happy customers, happy team, feels good. And they tend to embrace technology. So the kinds of things, I'm going to buzz through this. And again, happy to take questions. They probably do some social posting, but they learning to do it right, not just another happy Halloween message. They might have some basic campaigns that cross-sell, that nurture, that generate referrals. Maybe they've got something that helps them onboard new customers. So new customers feel good about being in the agency. They've got a claims campaign, maybe a blogging campaign, or do some blogging so that, it's good for their search engine optimization. They don't have to be Hemingway, but they're beginning to learn about it. They may not be afraid to deliver some video to the marketplace or one-on-one video to prospects and customers. And once people call, they actually control that conversation. They know that that's where the rubber hits the road, which gets us to the level 4 agency, the aligned agency. They're fast growth by industry standards, 15 to 20%. And what's interesting is that, the level 3 agency usually takes super good care of their existing customers. The level 4 agencies crack the code on lead generation. They know how to reach out to the market and just draw people in. They might have numerous ways to do that. I mean, certainly, they may be purchasing leads from the internet while they're also attracting leads. So no doubt they're probably quote wizard customers, but they're also reaching out to the marketplace and encouraging people to raise their hand and say, yeah, I want to learn more. And then once somebody's a customer, they've really got a well-conceived, well-crafted customer journey. And if they have niches, then that well-crafted journey might be segmented differently for each niche. Now, maybe if you look at that 4th bullet point, it's kind of advanced. It looks like marketing stuff, search engine optimization, campaign design, customer journey, copywriting, blah, blah, blah. They kind of are beginning to look less like a typical agency and look more like a marketing firm that sells insurance. So yes, they might have things like marketing funnels and a content calendar. They've conducted a persona exercise. They've delivered maybe a lead magnet that attracts people into their funnel. They understand marketing technology. I call marketing engines. They have fairly advanced customer journeys. So all of this stuff, yeah, you might look at that and say, oh, well, that could be, it could be a dentist that's a great marketer. Yeah, these are marketing tools. Remember, I said that the level 4 agency has taken 2 professions, insurance and marketing, and merged the 2, which gets us to the level 5 agency, the innovator agency, which really, in the words of one of my clients who owns perhaps the largest single-owned, privately owned agency in the United States, said, his philosophy has been like the level 5 agency doesn't look like an insurance agency at all. Okay, of course they sell insurance, but they deliver an experience that's really so proprietary, built on an intimate knowledge of the customer. So they've got the best of all the levels below, plus a proprietary and unique maturity model, kind of like I've got level 1 through 5. They have some sense of what the happy place is for their customers, where the customers are delighted and they have the best possible protection. And they have a way to move them over time to become deeper, more loyal, more intimate relationships. And insurance is merely one puzzle piece. So let me review these elements very quickly. The level 1 agency, this is what they focus on: cheapest price. This is not the cheapest channel in the insurance industry where we compete head to head. This is not the cheapest channel. So they're missing a big opportunity, and they're certainly missing a lot of customer lifetime value. The level 2 agency focuses on excellence of operations. We all need that. We have to run a good business. Level 3 agency really reaches out. And they've gone from like the level 2 agency, I like them. But the way that they achieve the excellence is, good internal operations. And when somebody calls, they'll take care of them. But most of their communications are reactive as opposed to proactive. The level 3 agency makes more proactive touches with today's consumer. Level 4 agency, again, has really cracked the code. Original content, some of which I'm teaching in my upcoming course, Thought Leadership Marketing for the Modern Age of Insurance, so that their voice is with all the noise in the internet right now and all the noise in the marketplace right now. There's a way for an insurance agency to say something that matters, that people listen to and that people respect. And it's said with authority and it's said with integrity, and it earns loyalty because there's an intimate knowledge of what's in the heart and the mind of the customer. It's a level 4 agency, and they do that from the first point of contact in the marketplace before they're even a customer to the point where they become a raving fan. And the level 5 agency really focuses on a proprietary experience that delivers that monogamous monopoly. So in a moment here, I'm happy to take any questions if you've got any. So generally, when I ask this question, people will say yes. If you had a lead gen system that really based on a deep understanding of the modern insurance consumer and a reliable customer journey that took them from the point of stranger to raving fan, and a blueprint that just showed you what to do, some of those marketing things that said, yeah, you probably should do this. Then do you think you'd be on the path to faster, higher, and easier organic growth? As I had said earlier, the way I view the successful agent today, they can't just do insurance. They really have to build a business. And it can't even just be building the business of 1995, which is a business that has a lot of systems in place, but missing one, which is an organic growth system. So these are what I consider to be the characteristics of today's most successful agents, is that they strive to have the courage to leave the rest of the industry behind. Like they don't want to be just like every other insurance agency. They really feel like we can do better than this. They understand the value of putting strategy in front of tactics. So they understand that customer lifetime value is where the real money is, and to earn it, the money's in the relationship. They never want to sell on price. You could look up my guidebook, 4 Reasons Never to Sell on Price and What to Do Instead. They would rather really the relationship be based not on price, but really be based on loyalty. And ultimately, they really care about what insurance does. So they want to protect people and change lives. And they sort of the beautiful message here is that for the person who's best suited for our channel, where they want protection, the more policies they have, the better protected they are. That's if you're selling them the appropriate policies, that makes them happier and you happier. Okay, they're happier because they're getting deeply felt psychological needs met, and you're happier because you're getting maximum customer lifetime value. And they tend to want to just be a good citizen and make it a better world. They care about the team because they know that they won't be able to achieve this without a team that's also aligned around earning the loyalty of the modern insurance consumer. And they don't just build business systems, but they also include in that organic growth systems that takes them up to the next level. So again, I do have a couple of free resources available to you if this resonates with you. First of all, I do want to encourage you. I am on LinkedIn fairly consistently. So look me up on LinkedIn and connect with me. Michael Jans, I'm easy to find. And I deliver a 5-minute newsletter. It takes 5 minutes to consume this newsletter, an insight on organic growth, insurance marketing every single week. Subscribe for free at www.123tuesday.com. And again, also have an advanced training coming up. And for participants in this workshop, you can take the first 30 days for free. And then no obligation, you choose, you see if it works for you, but you got to get in the waiting list to do that. I have a super duper special gift coming up for waiting list members, Dr. Robert Cialdini. Some people would consider to be the most influential person in marketing in the last 25 years, author of the book Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. He will be providing a webinar that I'm going to make available to everybody in the waiting list. So jump in the waiting list at www.thoughtleadershipsecrets.com. And now I'm going to turn it over to Kelsey and to see if we have any questions. Kelsey,
Thank
hey there.
you. Hey, I'm back. Well, I never left, but my video is back up. So it doesn't look like any questions have come in during the presentation. It was a lot of really helpful information, so I'm sure people were just very engaged. I do have a question though that I'm curious about as far as obviously with lead generation, if you're purchasing leads and someone like QuoteWizard is supplying you with leads, you're going to come across a mix of people who would be considered value buyers versus price buyers. Are price buyers, in your experience, pretty much a lost cause if you're not competitive? Or like, what is your strategy for overcoming that price objection and demonstrating your value?
Okay, so this is what the economists tend to say about price shoppers. It's often the way that they describe it is with what they call a whale curve. And typically, if you take an insurance agency, in fact, most businesses, what you'll discover is that the top 20% deliver about 150 to 180% of the profitability. The middle 60% tend to be break-even customers, and the bottom 20% tend to absorb 50 to 80% of the profitability. So that's how you get the math. That's where your profit comes from. And down at the bottom, typically what we have are price shoppers. Not all, but that's generally where they're going to be. And so there are a couple of things you can do. Number one, you can make a strategic choice. If they really genuinely are price shoppers, I've got some clients who say, hey, I've got a friend I'd like to refer you to. Because typically what you will often find is that in the long run, they subtract customer lifetime value from you. Now, that being said, sometimes it's hard to do. And sometimes that's a big strategic move. And for smaller agencies, they just might not be comfortable with that. And so at that point, should you choose, first of all, you've got the conversation with them, and you can find out a lot about them if you simply ask this one question during the prospecting phase. So let's say they've called or you've called them, you're having a conversation. Can I ask what's most important to you? And they say yes, price, service, or protection. Boom, which one? Is it the price? Or if it's just price, then, after you've asked that question, then, it's very likely they're just flat out telling you that they're a price shopper. On the other hand, when you ask the question, it begins to be, because it's a question, they have to represent it internally. And they're going, price, service, or protection. Well, yeah, I've got a home and I got a car and I got a, yeah, I mean, I do care about protection. So now you can engage in a conversation, which can begin to change them a little bit internally. And if you have a successful conversation, your closing ratio will go way up. And you're beginning to move them in the right direction. You're reframing their mind, but you've got to be able to deliver on it. So if the business strategy is to ignore them for 10.5 months and then reach out and say, hey, it's time for me to renew you, you're not delivering on being present with them. So they're not as good a customer. You can find out a lot with that question. Can I ask you a question? What's most valuable to you, price, protection, or service? And oftentimes that starts a conversation. And then the third thing is you want to, with all your customers, I mean, let's say they're not price shoppers. They're coming in because they want the relationship. If you're not delivering on it after the point of sale, then you pay the price for it.
Would you say that price shoppers are also often people who are very, what's the right word? Proactive with, making sure that at their renewal date, they're reevaluating all of the price options?
Well, if the motivation is price, then yes. If the motivation is relationship, like the peace of mind that comes from, when somebody's saying, yeah, I got people, right? Like, I'm not worried anymore because I got good advice and I know if there's a problem, I got people over at this so-and-so agency. And so if you can deliver on that, they're not poking around. But the price shopper, they see the renewal and maybe they saved with you. Boom, that's an experience that shows, oh, if I shop, I can save. So their churn rate, yes, they churn, like ridiculously high. We're, as an industry in general, we're kind of blessed with pretty good retention, but the price shoppers, they tend to be their renewal tends to be about 74%. So you lose typically 1 out of 4 every single year. That's not good enough.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. The beauty, I not only come from the insurance industry, but also the technology industry with recurring income. The reason that both industries are so attractive to private equity is recurring income. And so you really, if you want that highest valuation, if you want the highest margins and the fastest growth, go for the customers who are, generally going to be inclined to, lean towards renewal if you can deliver on their psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely say from personal experience, back when I had a car, I went with Progressive because I was young and I was just looking for the cheapest rate. I could not tell you who my agent was, or even if I had an individual agent, like if I gotten into an accident, like I have no idea who I would have reached out to. Thankfully, I'm a good driver.
An 800 number, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I really do believe that, whether you're Farmers, Allstate, Independent, State Farm, you have such a leg up on these companies to sell your value, and being a direct contact, having that top tier customer service, and really just selling people on the fact that if they get into any trouble, like you are their go-to person, not some random 800 number like mine was.